Welcome! If you stumbled upon this video, believe me, it wasn't by accident. Sometimes, we come across stories that have the power to transform how we see the world, and today, I want to share the life of a man who refused to live on autopilot. This is the story of Karsandas Mulji, an Indian writer born into a time of strict traditions and unquestionable rules. But he chose a different path, challenging every norm, every imposed belief, and every so-called unchangeable tradition. Mulji teaches us that we don't have to follow blindly, that we can, and should, question, seek answers, and live with authenticity. I promise, if you stick with me until the end, you'll come out of this inspired with a new perspective on the power of questioning what you're told. Together, we'll explore each step of this journey of courage, resilience, and freedom of thought. Get ready, because this is a story that will challenge you and motivate you to live with purpose and to start creating your own story. Before we dive in, go ahead and hit the like button. It's all I ask to support the channel. Now, let's get into it. Roots of a Free Mind, the birth of a questioner. Karsandas Mulji was born on the 25th of July, 1832, in a small village in Gujarat, India. This was a time when strict cultural and social rules shaped daily life, and questioning them was rare. Children like Mulji were taught to obey, to conform, and to live by the standards society set as proper and honorable. But even as a young child, Mulji was different. He looked at the world around him with a curiosity that went beyond the lessons passed down to him. Back then, the caste system and rigid religious practices ruled every aspect of life, and most people believed questioning them was both disrespectful and dishonorable. But Mulji didn't let fear or social pressure silence him. Something inside told him that blindly accepting everything wasn't the way forward. By the time he was 15, Mulji had already started to question what he saw and heard, always searching for deeper answers. He noticed that following traditions and beliefs without reflection limited personal freedom and individuality. While most people around him were content to live by established standards, Mulji felt driven to challenge these norms and discover his own truths. Challenges of a rigid culture, Mulji's teenage years, and the awakening of critical thought. As a teenager, Karsandas Mulji began directly facing the challenges of living in a society with deeply rooted values. He attended local schools and later completed his education in Mumbai, where he gained access to new ideas and literature. The city, more cosmopolitan than his native village, offered him a glimpse into the wider world and a chance to think independently. Around the age of 18, Mulji began questioning the way Indian society structured its beliefs and behaviors. He encountered issues with the caste system, women's roles, and religious rituals, all widely accepted without question. Child marriage, women's lack of rights, and the absolute power of religious leaders troubled him deeply. He saw that these practices often caused suffering, yet they were followed simply out of tradition. By expressing these concerns, Mulji faced pushback. His family and closest friends saw his questions as a challenge to culture and long-held customs. "Why do you need to question everything?" was a phrase he often heard. Yet he refused to accept simple answers or pre-made explanations. His mind wanted to know why, seeking the logic and impact behind every tradition. During this phase, Mulji began putting his thoughts down on paper, in personal notes and articles. He wanted his words to ignite a critical spirit in others, encouraging them to reflect on the power structures and injustices around them. He knew he was risking his standing in society, but for Mulji, truth and freedom of thought were worth far more than social approval. These early steps were just the beginning of a long journey of resistance. Mulji was determined to walk this path, even if it meant facing opposition. He knew it wouldn't be easy, but for him, questioning was the only path to finding his true self and perhaps helping others awaken to the importance of thinking for themselves. Writing against the tide, the path of a revolutionary writer. As an adult, Karsandas Mulji decided to use writing to express his ideas and challenge the status quo. He understood the power of words to disrupt and reshape minds. In 1856, at just 24, Mulji began publishing articles and essays in newspapers and magazines, touching on subjects that were taboo in Indian society at the time. He boldly questioned the caste system, women's roles, and religious practices that, in his view, perpetuated inequality and injustice. Mulji knew his stance wouldn't be well received, but his courage drove him forward. He saw the press as a powerful tool for change and believed that exposing the truth was the first step in shifting mindsets. He openly criticized the hypocrisy of religious leaders who preached morality but practiced oppression. This stance earned him many powerful enemies who refused to tolerate his defiance. One of the most pivotal moments in Mulji's career was when he spoke out against the practice of muluki, a form of mandatory donation to religious leaders, which he saw as exploitative and unfair. In 1865, he published an article exposing how these leaders manipulated people's faith to enrich themselves. This caused a huge uproar, leading to a furious backlash from the religious elite and even a lawsuit accusing Mulji of defamation. Despite the possibility of conviction and the emotional toll, Mulji didn't back down. He defended every word he'd written in court, arguing that his intention was to reveal hidden truths, not to disrespect faith. His courage earned him the respect of many who had been afraid to express their own doubts and dissatisfaction. The legal battle exhausted Mulji, but he emerged more convinced than ever of his mission. He continued writing, determined to awaken critical thinking in his society and show that traditions and beliefs should serve people, not imprison them. The strength of a rebel: struggles, resistance, and consequences. Karsandas Mulji's fight was far from easy, and he knew that challenging the system came with personal and professional risks. Opposition came not only from religious leaders but also from society and even his own family, who feared the consequences of his revolutionary ideas. In a time when questioning was seen as rebellion and disrespect, he paid a high price for his unwavering stance. The 1865 court case was only one of many retaliations he faced. Over the years, Mulji endured public attacks, ridicule, and isolation. Many branded him a traitor to his culture, accusing him of bringing foreign ideas to disrupt the balance of a society rooted in ancient traditions. But Mulji wasn't trying to destroy culture, he was trying to transform it into something fairer and more conscious. He argued that traditions shouldn't be followed blindly, especially when they cause suffering and inequality. He believed true spirituality and humanity come from choosing our actions and beliefs consciously rather than simply accepting what's imposed. Despite threats and attempts to silence him, Mulji never gave up. He continued to publish his ideas, striving to open people's eyes to the power of free thought and the importance of questioning. He believed that by planting this seed in people's minds, he was fostering a change that, while slow, would be lasting. The resistance took its toll, though. The social pressure, legal battles, and personal attacks eventually weakened him. But until his final breath, Mulji stayed true to his beliefs. He knew his work wasn't just about him, it was about paving the way for future generations to think for themselves and seek a life of true meaning. A legacy of freedom, reflections on Mulji's legacy and what we can learn today. Karsandas Mulji passed away in 1871, at just 39 years old, but his influence lasted far beyond his short life. His courage in challenging a society that despised questioning left a legacy that still resonates today. While he lived in a specific time and place, the essence of his struggle is timeless and universal. Mulji showed us that true progress doesn't happen when we accept things as they are, but when we dare to ask why and how could it be different. He taught us that accepting everything without question is often just conformism. Questioning isn't about destroying, it's about understanding, seeking meaning, and, when necessary, transforming. His life reminds us that questioning is a vital force, illuminating the path to authenticity and freedom. Karsandas Mulji faced rejection, isolation, and threats, but he never bowed to a system that didn't make sense to him. He didn't live to see the changes his ideas set in motion, but today, we all benefit from the spirit of resistance he embodied. So, at the end of this story, here's the invitation: be like Karsandas Mulji. Question. Don't accept reality without reflection. Allow yourself to explore, understand, and, if needed, break free from what doesn't represent your truth. Only then will you truly be free, and the author of your own story. Thank you to everyone who stayed with me until the end. It's amazing to share the story of someone as inspiring as Karsandas Mulji with you. If this journey of questioning and authenticity spoke to you, drop a comment below. What do you question today in your own culture or traditions? Or, if you don't question anything, Tell us why. Let's create a space for sharing and reflection. If you enjoyed this content, please subscribe to the channel and leave a like. This support is crucial for us to keep bringing you stories that inspire, challenge, and help us think about the world we live in. To close, here's a Bible verse that beautifully relates to this journey: test everything. Hold fast to what is good. 1 Thessalonians 5 verse 21. May we always have the courage to question, seek, and hold on to what's truly good and true for us. See you in the next video.